Welcome to From the Burbs to the Tetons. So I just started the channel. This is kind of a welcome, get to know me. Who are you? Come on up here and say hi to everybody. Come on. Come on up here. Come. Come on. Come on. I can't play right now, so come on. Come on. Oh. This is Hal. This is my daughter's dog. She's staying with us while she's doing an internship. Your ear is all messed up. Grandma's going to be mad at me for putting you on camera with your ear all messed up. And he likes to play with me. I guess I'm the play person. So anytime he's in the mood to play, he comes to see me. Hey, head up. Say hi to everybody out there. Okay, you need to go. So I just wanted to kind of introduce the channel, what we're going to try and do. I guess the closest thing you could say is we're going to be kind of like a homesteading channel, but really not homesteading, because there's channels out there that clearly are obviously homesteading. We'll probably do 2/3 of the same things, but for different reasons. So I don't want to call us a homesteading channel, even though we're going to do our own gardens, we're going to build our own place, we are gonna go in debt. So and I'm okay with that. We're not done working, even though, you know, we talk about this is our retirement place. We're just getting a head start on building it, moving out there. We still both plan to work for another 10 to 15 years outside of, you know, what we're doing on the property. And we'll plan on building probably 2/3 of it. I'm realistic. I'm, you know, over 55. I'm, you know, by myself. My wife really isn't into doing this construction stuff and things like that. She plans on helping a ton behind the scenes, but she doesn't like to be in front of the camera, and I'm going to honor that. Definitely building science is going to be involved. We're doing ICF, SIPs, a whole bunch of other stuff. Plan to go, you know, way in depth when it comes to building science, obviously, because I haven't done a lot of building and I'm researching. There's a couple of places that have kind of inspired me. So Mike Holmes, who is a TV personality, he's had 2 or 3 different series on HGTV, and so he's inspired me on, you know, doing it right. Especially, you know, his big thing is make sure you do the things that you can't see that you're going to cover up right the first time, because it's super expensive to go back and fix it, because you got to rip everything out to fix it, and then you got to put everything back again. The building show on YouTube, I'll put a link in there for that channel. So that's another place. Also, Fine Home Building. Oh, let me grab one of the magazines here. So these guys, Fine Home Building. And I look at other stuff that's recommended out there that I look at and things. I'm a big believer in, well, and so even though I want to build a zero-sum house, which means I don't need to spend any money on electricity with the electrical company and stuff like that, because, well, that's a video. But still, you know, I'm a big believer there's a difference between a greenhouse and building green, and I'll talk about that a lot. I don't know, with all the several thousands of hours of research I've done into this stuff, I figure a lot of you would prefer not to do that and me to go through the highlights of what I've learned. When I was younger, I was into woodworking, so I've got that background. I'll make most of our own furniture. I'm going to be practical. I'm not going to make a couch just to make a couch, so I could say I made a couch when there's one out there that we can buy that makes a lot more sense. Building a couch that is also a fold-out couch is really hard to do. What else? Photography. I love photography. It's one of my favorite things to do. And FYI, photographers are always their own worst critics. So I always think, oh, it's good, but it's not really great. My kids have told me that the photos at the end of these videos are really good. Most people will think that they're somebody else's photo or stock photos I got from someplace. Actually, they're photos I took. So we'll do some camera stuff for sure. And also we'll probably mix that in as we're traveling, because we plan on going to national parks a lot. One of the reasons we picked Idaho is it's like right dead center in probably some of the best parks that our country have to offer, as well as it's not that far to get into some really nice parks in Canada. Cooking. I love to cook. Been cooking since I was like 7 or 8. Most people were kind of like, your mom lets you turn on and cook by yourself. I was cooking grilled cheese sandwiches and hot dogs for myself when I was like 7 or 8 years old. And progressed from that. Worked in my high school years, I worked in a restaurant as a prep chef, which is I'm the guy who put all the food together, so all they had to do is go into the refrigerator, take something out, and put it in a pan and start cooking it. Most restaurants don't prep then cook, because the prep time can be considerable. What else are we going to do here? I'm sure I'm leaving something out. Part of building my house is I want a smart house. So we're going to do a lot there. I'm going to talk about moving to Linux if you want to. Windows 10 is a horrible operating system at this point. It just doesn't make any sense not to move to Linux or Macintosh. Macs are based on Berkeley delivery, free Berkeley delivery software. Is it BSD or BDS? I don't know. When we do a video on that stuff, when I get more in depth in it. But basically the story behind that is when Bell Unix owned Unix, because Unix went through 3 or 4 or 5 owners, Berkeley did all of this work and then published it as an educational version of the software, and Bell never challenged the copyright on it. I'd have to go back and look, because I haven't done a lot of this research in years, on whether or not Bell actually said they could have a copyright to it and distribute it or not. But what happened is it's a fair use thing. If somebody uses something for long enough and they're using it and you don't say anything about it, then they're allowed to use it in perpetuity. And that's kind of how the Berkeley Unix version came about. Linux was developed by somebody from scratch, even though some of the owners of Unix tried to say, oh no, they stole certain things out of it, which they did not. So we'll go into a lot of software stuff too. I don't know if that'll be boring for you, but when you do a smart house, one of the things that you need servers to run all your smart stuff or to store your smart stuff. Or you can also pay a cloud service to store all your smart stuff. I'm going to probably do a mix of some of it in the cloud and some of it I want to store just on my server. It's less expensive usually when you do that. I want a media server. I've got 20,000 songs and 400 or 500 DVDs, Blu-rays, and carrying those around all the time, trying to use them on a laptop that no longer have disk drives in them, for DVDs and Blu-rays, is a pain. So having a media server that I could just stream, it's kind of like your own private Netflix. You take all your stuff and go, oh, I've got my own private Netflix and I've got Netflix. So that's something we're going to do. Like I said, the smart house stuff, we're going to do, dive into that kind of stuff. So I know some of the stuff I'm doing right now is kind of boring, but the reason I'm doing the how do you find your property and things once you find your property and you want to purchase it, what things do you need to consider, is because I couldn't find anything that was in depth. There are lots of videos out there that kind of like scratch the surface. But when you're buying your most expensive purchase that you'll buy in your lifetime, do you want to just know summary information and hope for the best, or do you want to, actually really know what the heck's going on, what questions you should be aware of, things you should really think about before you make that offer on the property? And that goes for whether or not you're buying a house or you're just buying the land. And anything that I talk about for the land is true for the house. It's not true the other way around. You can't go, oh, this is true for a house, so it's true for land. So hopefully you'll be patient going through those, because I think they're really important and will give you a lot of good information, and then we'll get into more, some of the more sexy stuff around building the house. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that a lot of you are going to go, well, you're not showing us anything. You're just talking about it. I will do some models and do some pre-stuff. I'm big on, like, let's do it before it's time to really do it. Let's not learn while we're implementing it for real. Let's learn ahead of time. It's easier to make a mistake now when I'm just messing around here at the townhouse here in Virginia than when I'm doing a final kind of install in Idaho. So I want to go through that. The other thing is I'm not an expert at everything. Nobody ever, but the only thing I say I'm an expert in is software development, because I've got 25 years of being a software development manager and doing agile projects. So that's about the only thing that I consider myself an expert in. Everything else, I may have researched a lot and everything, and I may be pretty decent at it. But there's other people out there who've thought of things that I haven't, and I want that feedback. So I'm hoping that when I put these together and say, well, this is what I'm going to do, and this and that and everything else, trust me, I'm going to look at the comments, because I want people to come along and tell me, hey, Tom, did you think of this? Did you think of that? And I'll respond on whether or not I haven't. And then the other thing is if I haven't, I'm going to research it, because I want to get it right the first time. When I was going through this journey, I was originally going to build a log cabin. I've since decided not to do the log cabin route, and I'll actually be doing timber frame. And the SIPs will be kind of a hybrid timber frame kind of setup. We'll do some timber framing based on the SIPs holding up the building. But the one thing he said was, most people don't have the money to write, to go out and build a house like this, especially if it's the retirement house, get it wrong, and say, you know what, I'm just going to sell it. Yeah, I'm going to lose a couple $100,000 on it, but I don't care, because I can just write a check for another one. Very, very few people can afford to do that. So I want to get this right the first time. So I'm going to go through my plans with you guys and get some feedback, and we learn together. And then, once I get out to Idaho, hopefully I can do this very quickly. And get it up and running, because my wife and I need some place to work remotely, so I need to build it quickly. We can't survive living in a trailer for 2.5 years. God bless Pure Life for Living for doing that. It's one of my favorite channels. I like the fact that he shows his mistakes and talks about his mistakes. I've learned a lot from him. Also, at times I just wish he would have talked about this ahead of time, because I did more research on certain areas and I could have, added things. Other people came along too and added additional information, but because those videos were put out a month after they had done the work, it was too late. They kind of had to live with what they had done, which it seems they're fine with, and I don't have a problem with that. But Pure Life for Living is one of the channels I watch a lot. Red Poppy Ranch is another one. I'll put the links to both of those. I really enjoy watching them. I'm learning a lot with them, as well as, I like Red Poppy, because he talks about stuff that he's going to do sometimes ahead of time, because he doesn't have 100% surefire way that he thinks he's going to do it, and he wants feedback from us, people who are watching him do their thing. And that's kind of the mode I'm in. I want your feedback so I can try and get it right the first time. And besides the two that are primarily building houses, there's a couple tractor ones that I watch pretty often. I've got to buy a tractor. I've got 20 acres. One's kind of an old hand at an expert, and the other one's a newbie. Kind of going through the same things I'll have to go through. Timber framing. I'm building a workshop / apartment first, and it's going to be a hybrid. The sides are going to be SIPs, and the SIPs will support the building, and then to support the roof, I'm going to use timbers. So I'll do some timber framing at that point. Very simple stuff. But when the main house comes, it's going to be a true timber frame. And Jim at the Tradesman channel does a great job of that, and he's also a lot of fun to watch. He is definitely a PG-13 channel, but that's fun sometimes to go to a channel where we're all adults there. So if you like, I'm hoping you'll go ahead and follow along the channel. I'm going to do one video that's going to be more polished, more in-depth, research I've done, scripts written. And then during the week, I'll kind of do one-offs. I'm going to call it Miscellaneous Ramblings. This is the first one. Eventually, I'm going to do a proper what the channel is about, but to do that you actually need more content, so I'll probably wait until I've gotten 15 or 20 videos out and then do one at that point. But subscribe. If you've got comments, please make them below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Again, the little bell button there will get you automatically notified when I do upload a video. And I'm hoping you'll come along for the journey and have fun with us.